Many changes are coming to the crypto landscape in 2026. We'll take a closer look at exactly what's coming our way and how things might actually become more unified. We'll be looking at this in Europe, but also specifically in Germany. And of course, the topic of taxes as well. Hey, and welcome to Crypto Eule. Exciting news all about the upcoming year 2026 in the field of cryptocurrencies and Europe. Because a lot is happening right now. Whether it's the EU suing X and Elon Musk laughing about it, because if you open X right now, you'll see. I don't think you see anything else. You're probably feeling the same way I do. And then there's the topic of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And of course, the MyKA license, which will come fully into effect next year. Yes, technically it's already been in effect since the beginning of 2025, but in Germany there was a 1-year implementation period. That means everyone who had to implement all of this still had the whole year to apply for licenses and make adjustments, like Bybit, for example, which set up its own bybit.eu site and its own office in Vienna, or rather, Austria, and many other crypto exchanges have done the same, as we'll see in a moment. Let's move on to the news, or rather, the news about what might become even more unified. My buddy Lodi actually wrote something about this. He's the host of the Sound Money Bitcoin podcast. Definitely check it out. There are some really interesting topics. He's a Bitcoin maximalist, but he's also open to other cryptocurrencies and listens to different opinions. But he makes it very clear, Bitcoin is the only true one. Still, he covers very exciting topics and is deeply involved in the scene. Banks, money, finance, and so on. That's why I personally like to listen in from time to time. And these are often really complex topics that he explains in a relatively simple way. Or rather, he explains the scope of these topics, which is honestly amazing. So the EU is planning far-reaching reforms of crypto regulation, as we know. And ESMA is moving into the spotlight here. The EU Commission is proposing to make the European Securities and Markets Authority, or ESMA, the Central European Supervisory Authority for all crypto asset service providers, or CASPs, under MiCAR. Many people just say MiCAR because that's markets in crypto assets. But nowadays, many people add the R at the end because it's market in crypto assets regulation, or rather, regulation? Some say rules, but regulation is the official translation. What is ESMA? ESMA is the EU Securities Supervisory Authority based in Paris. Among other things, it currently ensures stable financial markets, investor protection, and uniform rules within the EU. So far, they mainly work in coordination with national supervisors. They retain operational control. So it will get very interesting when ESMA comes into play, because that's about to change. With the new proposal, ESMA will become the single supervisor, you could say, for the entire European crypto market. This means they set the rules and decide who gets a MiCA license and who doesn't. This means, among other things, the approval of these crypto asset service providers. In other words, they receive the MiCA license. And the MiCA license will become very important next year when crypto exchanges will need a MiCA license. Especially for you as a European customer who wants to trade there, you'll need an exchange that is MiCA compliant. And one of the first MiCA licenses that was granted, for example, went to OKX. All of this as early as the end of January 2025. And OKX also has something really special, the Advent calendar. Take part in it. A little door every day. Currently it's day 4. Secure yourself 5 euros in Bitcoin, for example, and with a bit of trading, an extra 3 euros in Bitcoin. And here, a new door every day. As I said, it's currently day 4, but you can check in every day and trade here. It's really easy to buy cryptocurrencies, for example with PayPal, which even has no fees. But that's only for a limited time, which is really important. Then bank transfer is also really simple, all credited to your euro balance. That means you can easily deposit euros here and then trade them just like you're used to. For example, here in the spot section of Bitcoin. So don't be alarmed, the price of Bitcoin here is 77,000 euros. Don't think, oh, that's really low. If that were in dollars, we could really buy cheap here on OKX. But of course, you can also just buy directly here. You can buy cryptocurrencies by saying, for example, I want to invest 500 euros. Maybe you got some Christmas money here in various cryptocurrencies. You can do that directly here, then buy Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. As you can see, there are a lot listed here. Many products with more being added, products in various areas and with different possibilities. In other words, you can not only trade spot, but there will be even more options available. For example, on-chain earning as well, which means you can also do staking here. And many more products will be added here soon. Products in the sense that the exchange simply offers you more and of course makes money through its trading activities. So the crypto asset service providers, or CASPs, in this case OKX, naturally earn money from this. So OKX will soon be offering you even more options. Remember the advent calendar check-in every day. It could be worth it. Really great rewards. And they themselves are advertising up to 150 euros as a Bitcoin bonus. Check it all out, and with the link in the video description, you'll save another 10% on all fees. That's my offer to you as CryptoYule if you register with OKX. Check out the link and all the info in the video description. In addition, there is ongoing supervision and control, as well as market abuse monitoring. And these are all topics you come across if you just read through MiCA. Up until now, for example, a bank that offers an ETF product or something like that. Then you usually get brochures. Nowadays, everything is digital anyway. But in the past, you would first get a stack of paper handed to you. You read through all of it. No matter if it was insurance or whatever. Banks have also sold insurance at times. Registered annuities or also with ETF products. You have to read through all of it, or at least you should read through all of it. And there was also the topic that exchanges will have to provide such a brochure next year. I know that something digital is in the works, but just imagine. You sign up at a crypto exchange, you have to provide an address, and then 3 or 4 days later, you first get a letter by mail, and then comes the email. So now you have everything, read through it, but only now can you start trading, because we had to send you the brochure first. Okay, so yes, I'm very curious to see how this all develops, but we should definitely be very interested to see what ESMA does, because it still has more responsibilities. Enforcement and sanctions, including license revocation, fines, and service suspensions. So, for example, if exchanges, that is crypto exchanges, don't comply and continue to serve European customers, even though they don't have a MiCA license, that could mean big problems. Or if exchanges that do have MiCA licenses don't comply with what the MiCA regulation requires or what's stated in it, then there could be fines, service suspensions, or license revocations. Intense. Now, of course, here's the part we really don't like: EU-wide data collection on trading and orders. That means whatever you do in the future on MiCA exchanges, this is why many people are still trying to sign up on KYC-free exchanges somewhere abroad, could become a problem next year. If, in that case, ESMA finds out that you, as a European user, are registered with an exchange that doesn't have a MiCA license, then ESMA could contact the exchange and say, listen, your customer XY is from the EU. You don't have a MiCA license, so you're not allowed to serve them, or you need to apply for one. But many will violate the rules set out in the MiCA license and therefore won't get one at all. And then it could happen that your account gets blocked overnight because the exchange says, I'd rather not get into trouble with them. I'd rather just block the account, pretend I never had that customer, and that's the end of it. That's why it could, I'm being cautious here, lead to problems in the near future if you're not using MiCA compliant exchanges as a European customer. Of course, they'll have to figure that out first, but I can imagine they'll be very diligent about it once everything is established at the beginning of 2026. At the start, you have to say they also need to adjust to everything that's coming their way, especially all the data collection they'll suddenly have to do. That won't be a small amount. Especially if future trading is soon added to MiCA licenses, then things are going to get very interesting. For them, or rather, it's going to be a lot. One-sided inspections and comprehensive information rights. As I just mentioned, the topic of brochures. That's going to be a difficult topic. With that, MiCA would effectively become MiCA 2.0 because now there is a main point of contact for all of this, namely ESMA. So if they have to take care of all these topics here, then of course it will. Very interesting. And actually these rules, yes, on the one hand, you have rules, but on the other hand, who takes care of them? The lawmakers of the countries, they have to take care of it. But here you have a point of contact in Europe where you can say, hello, I would like a license, or look here, the exchange did something stupid, so you need to punish them. An update to MiCA was inevitable anyway. And with that, the national crypto regulators, BaFin, FINMA, and all the others would lose large parts of their authority, because this body would initially take over everything, of course. So this is very, very exciting what's coming here. And you can already see here why all of this is happening and his conclusion on the whole topic. You'll find the link to the post, of course, in the video description. And we can be very curious to see how things will continue and what else will happen in the near future. Because with Mike, of course, more rules are coming as well. And the market obviously needed rules of the game from the very beginning. Because it was, of course, difficult to build products here. In Europe, because you didn't have clear rules of the game, or they only came gradually. If we just look at this topic alone, namely crypto treasuries, that is companies, businesses, and countries that, for example, hold Bitcoin or crypto reserves, by now there are really quite a lot of them. But what stands out is that there are hardly any, if any at all, from Europe. That simply means because all these companies or businesses, and even countries in this case, European countries, you'll find very few here. They simply haven't invested any money in crypto or Bitcoin because they don't even know, are we allowed to do that? What does that mean for the future? What about licenses? What are the rules of the game? And that's why, to be honest, such a rulebook is extremely important for everyone. It's interesting that the only country from Europe included here is Ukraine, at least. It's among the higher ranked countries. That's definitely very interesting as well. When it comes to the crypto treasury tracker, if you want to check it out yourself and see what's included, the link is, of course, in the video description. And in Germany, of course, we have a different topic to deal with, namely crypto taxes. So what can we expect in that regard? The current government is really cracking down on this topic and wants to impose significant taxes on cryptocurrencies. But I can tell you, if you have no idea what's going on and are also having trouble with your tax return for next year, because as I said, everything is getting more complicated, then I have a little tip for you, a comprehensive and thorough tax check.
Crypto tax check at Pacuna. What do I get for my money? And above all, how much does it cost? With the crypto tax check, our experts will basically go through your entire portfolio. You know how it is with those tools. You import your data and then it's automatically labeled, correct or not? Is the airdrop now tax-free or taxable? All those kinds of questions. We go through all of it for you. You'll get an introductory call where we first discuss what we're going to do. Then we take a look at your account no matter what platform you use. So whether you're on CoinTracking, Blockbit, Coinly, etc. There are about 50 providers out there, doesn't matter which one. We check everything, make sure the calculations are correct, and ensure your profit is accurate too. And in most cases, there's also room for optimization. So we have many clients who end up saving on taxes again through this crypto tax check with us. And then there's a debrief call where we either tell you, hey, you can improve this, you can change that. You need to be careful here, that could potentially become an issue. Things like that. Exactly. How much does it cost? Normally it costs 2,500 euros, but I heard you have a code. Exactly. With the referral CryptoYule, you get a discount. Exactly. Anyone who contacts us and says they're coming from CryptoYule gets a 200 euro discount. So that means I pay 2,300 euros, get a complete tax check from you, and in the end, everything should be sorted out with the taxes. And if not,
there are options. If your portfolio is somewhat larger and you need a thorough tax check, there are options exist.
Exactly. What we also offer is if you say you're completely lost, we can handle the whole thing for you. So you give us your wallet addresses and tell us which exchanges you've used. And we'll take care of everything from start to finish for you. That option is available too. And we can even write an expert report for you. So an additional service, a professional assessment from us. And there's a code for that as well. It always starts with the initial assessment. That costs a fixed price of 1,900 euros. It's a bit like a tax check, but based on the raw data. And with that, you'll also get an offer detailing what a complete expert report or profit calculation would cost with us. But it usually only makes sense if you really have a larger portfolio. I'd say 6 figures and usually even 7 figures. That's when it gets interesting because that's where we can really get a lot out for you. It's simply a lot of work when we do this for you.
So don't despair over your taxes. Pacuna can help. And with the code CryptoYule, you get a discount. Check it out. And here's how it works. Go to pacuna.de and click on contact. Get in touch with Pacuna. Your name, your email, and write Pacuna tax check. I heard about it through CryptoYule. And just like that, you qualify for the discount for this great detailed tax check. Currently, the tax laws are still such that we can say crypto or Bitcoin is tax-free. Here, if you ask Google, yes, Bitcoin remains tax-free. But of course, Google doesn't know everything that's actually going on right now. There is a tax exemption limit of 1,000 euros here. If you trade cryptocurrencies, haven't held them for more than a year, and have made a profit of 1,000 euros, then that's within the exemption limit. Anything over 1,000 euros is subject to tax. But if you have additional income like staking, lending, and so on, you can receive up to 256 euros per year tax-free. Yes, and if you hold for more than a year, then the whole thing is tax-free. I always give you the recommendation, goodbye. Still, declare it anyway. If questions come up later like, hey, all of a sudden you have Bitcoin, where did that come from? You can always say, look, tax return, yes, such and such year, I declared everything there. I already stated that I hold Bitcoin and haven't sold them yet. But at least you can say, listen, I bought them at such and such a time. It's just easier. If the tax office ever asks, I can only tell you this from personal experience. But the topic of the tax holding period in Germany is becoming increasingly difficult with the current government because there is currently a lot of opposition, mainly from the SPD and the left, but also the Greens. There are quite a few who are pushing back against it. So tax exemption for crypto is naturally becoming more interesting. In the coming years, I'm very curious to see how the whole thing will develop. And we can also be very curious to see whether Lars Klingbeil, our current finance minister in Germany, will agree to submit a draft law. Because the leftists are advocating for that. This shows once again that they gave another fiery speech. This isn't the first one recently. And we can be very curious to see how it all continues. Blog Trainer is always very informative in this regard. Let's remember the Blog Trainer team isn't just Roman doing everything. They have a large team now, and they post a lot about this topic as well. Alongside, of course, other YouTube channels or information channels. So the tax topic, I think it's going to get even more interesting in Germany in the coming years. So I hope it stays tax-free. Of course, that's easier because those are the rules we know. Or maybe they'll do it similarly to other countries. For example, let's think of the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, you can do whatever you want all year long. And on December 31st, you just have to declare what you have. And what you have is then taxed as capital gains or as sales tax. No, it should be capital gains. That gets taxed and that's it. That's why we always see a bit of a dip right before the end of the year. Because the Dutch sell everything they can. Then they say, I have nothing. Yeah, just keep that in mind. That's the main rule in the Netherlands, but of course there are others. Or in Austria, you also have a flat tax rate on everything you do with cryptocurrencies. Maybe it's just easier to say, look, pay on everything, I'll just say 15% on all your profits, and then you're done, and that's it. But I think if it comes to that, the percentage will be higher. So we can be very curious. Whatever comes our way, the year 2026 will definitely bring changes again, and remember the topic. MyCA licensed exchanges. Yes, I've said many times before that it's easier to take this step now on an exchange. Let's take OKX, for example. That might be easier. Finish up the topic now, get used to the exchange, and then you'll already be on the safe side and maybe won't have as many problems later that could potentially come our way. But let's stay relaxed and see what happens. Let's see how things turn out when the first lawsuits start coming in. Then we'll know what's going on. Oh, that was the warning. Maybe it's time to change things now. But I recommend that you start getting used to a Mika exchange now. It will make things much easier in the future. With that, I'd like to thank you very much for watching. I hope you were able to get some useful information from this video. And I'll see you in the next video.